world's greatest race course, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, ABC Sports presents the 75th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race. It has been raining in Indianapolis early in the morning, but as you can see, the track is drying. The start might be delayed by just a few minutes, but it sets the scene for what should be a spectacular day. And already the giant crowd has begun to fill this giant stadium. So we'll keep an eye on Bobby Rahal, but Danny Sullivan in the number 20 car, Alfa Romeo powered, is not started, so they push the car to the end of the pit area, and they will roll it back, trying to get it started. He has 3 laps before the green flag to try to get it into position. All right, Danny Sullivan's crew, Patrick Racing Team, they work on his car, trying to get that engine to fire. One of those already running, of course, is Rick Mears, the pole sitter. As the pace picks up, they're off in the 4th turn. The pole sitter, Rick Mears, brings the field down. Harold Shelby has the Viper off of the course. Comes to the lead. Mario Andretti closes in behind as A.J. Foyt fades. And there is an accident coming off of the 4th turn. Coming off of one, there is an accident. The equipment rolls and the yellow flag flies already. The start is so perilous here. The track is only 50 feet wide in the straight, 60 in the turns. Rick Mears slows the field and brings it under control. Those loud reports that you hear are not part of an accident. They are aerial bombs that are fired over the top of the track to indicate the car's positions as they move to the different turns. And here is Gary Bettenhausen rolling for the pits already. First report is that Buddy Lazier is involved in that accident. And as information filters to us, we'll pass it to you. A shot of that situation as the field came through. There is Rick. And you saw Gary Bettenhausen lose it to the inside. Lazier caught the wall with the nose and was able to continue on. So Gary Bettenhausen, Bobby, looked like he was part of that.
Yes, he did. You know, from the rain washing stuff down, he was very low. Let's look at it right here. Gary's very low, completely below the white line. What happens? He's in the turn. The water from all the rain has washed all the debris down there, made it extremely slippery. Now, Gary really should have known that. He's been here enough years for that, Paul.
Let's get an update on Danny Sullivan's situation. Here's Jerry Punch.
Well, the bad news was they did not get to make the start of the race on the track. The good news, they found the problem. It was a drive cable that goes to the fuel pump that they have repaired here in the Pat Patrick team. I spoke to Pat Patrick. They have it repaired, and Danny will be able to race now, but unfortunately, he's lost some time. Paul?
But this yellow will really help. At least they're not rolling laps away at high speed while we're under. At Indianapolis, the green flag is out as racing resumes, and Rick Mears leads Mario Andretti. But Mario comes to the inside to challenge Mears. That's Michael lined up in 3rd place just behind Mario. Kevin Cogan, in the short time that we were green, jumped from 16th to 9th place.
Lately on oval courses, Rick Mears has had a pattern. He started from the pole. He's had 6 poles in ovals in the last 2 years and then fallen back. However, today, it looks very different. I think the Penske team and Mears very hungry for this race.
Well, Sam, everybody's kind of laughed about this, always falling back at the beginning of the races, never trying to lead the first lap. I think he's out to prove a point right now. But remember, he is one of the smartest oval drivers that there is. He may slack off a little bit forward later on.
Rick Mears. And Willie T. Ribbs comes in to the pits.
Some sort of mechanical problem.
Doesn't look good when they go to the Zeus fastenings on that collie. They're going to take the top of the car off. And usually the first thing they do is change the electronics on the car because it's easy to change, and it often is the problem. So they change it as a matter of course.
A lot smarter than maybe people give him credit for. He's been here, like we said, 34 years. Leading the first lap is not important. Not having an accident, obviously, by looking at Gary Bettenhausen, was important.
And Al Unser Jr. closing now on A.J. Foyt. Little Al battles with him and sticks his nose ahead as they go into the corner. So Little Al is up to 4th place. And here is Mario Andretti, who has just picked up the lead from Rick Mears. Mario Andretti picked up the lead. So So we're seeing some tremendous action here at the start. Watching one battle for fourth. Suddenly, Mario is able to slide past Rick. And Rick begins to fall backward a bit. Now, so very early on. Plenty of fights here on the course. Rick Mears now moving around the traffic. That's Palmroth of Finland that lies just ahead. And Michael is coming up to challenge Rick. They both come out to the inside on the backstretch. Wow, so close together. And Michael, can he hold on down the inside? Oh, it's going to be tight.
Oh, Rick holds on. You never used to see him do that, run that high groove to defend himself. Incredible driving, Rick Mears.
So very early in the Indianapolis 500, 13 laps complete now. We're with Michael. He darts to the inside, out into clean air, is alongside Rick.
Now that was a good draft that got him by there. And what happened the turn before that is he really didn't see Michael or Rick then until it was a little bit too late. They have a blind spot right behind him to the left and to the right. You have a blind spot for a second. But once you commit to going in the turn, especially at the speed these guys are going, you know, like 225, 230 into the turn ball, they can't change their way too fast.
It's incredible, isn't it, Bobby? He never flinched, though, and he ran that secondary line, that wider line, and made it work for him.
These are the best. There's no question about it, Tim.
Right, and watch the rest of the field string pass, but not this car. Eddie Cheever, who just made that brilliant pass a moment ago, is rolling very quietly down to the edge of the course. This could bring out a yellow flag if that car remains in a precarious position.
Well, as long as he's still rolling, they'll keep it green, but he's just about to stop as we can all see right now. That's awfully early. Too many cars dropping out this early.
Both of the Andrettis come in together. Rick Mears comes in together. In fact, most of the field will probably take advantage of this yellow and make a stop. Unser Jr. makes his stop. There's Michael. Mario, the leader of the race, but who will come out first? After these stops, the order will scramble. Very dangerous moment, too, because so many cars are in the pits at the same time. Kevin Cogan, who made a spectacular move to the front, also comes into the pits. So most of the key players in the field have come in under the second yellow of the day. We'll be back with more from Indianapolis. Roberto Guerrero climbs out of the car. These cars can take some incredible punishment. They are designed with so much safety in mind.
That's one of the Alpha cars now. One of the two Alpha cars in the race Roberto's driving.
And of course the other one is driven by Danny Sullivan, so a star-crossed day for the Alfa Romeo team.
And A.J. Foyt with his hand up indicating
he was in
that
the
he's
crash.
going.
Look at the left front. The wheel is not making contact with the road.
Not at all.
He's damaged that suspension.
And that looks to be rather permanent damage.
Yeah, in fact,
Bobby, can that be repaired at all?
No, there's no repair there. That's going to be permanent, Paul. Like you said, that's probably going to put him out.
Gary Bettenhausen back in under the last yellow. He made a stop for 16 seconds in and out. And A.J. is waving. Is he saying goodbye?
Yeah, I think it might be that.
The crowd stands to salute the grand champion as he rolls down off the fourth turn and into the pits.
For sure, the car would have to have at least an entire left front corner. That would be the least amount of damage done.
There had been so much speculation before the race, but his success in qualifying caused him to decide to come back, perhaps for a 35th year. I think the signal that you see him making from the cockpit right now suggests no. This is the farewell of A.J. Foyt.
Sam, I don't think it's bothering him all that bad. I think he's made this race his 34th start. You can see Foyt is never this happy. I've never seen him drop out of a race and been happy before.
He's the oldest man ever to run this race, 56-year-old A.J. Foyt.
He is wobbling.
Limping back to the pits on the 25th lap of the 75th Indianapolis 500 to a standing ovation, Anthony Joseph Foyt Jr., who prefers to be known simply as AJ. Casey and his crew waits for the car as they in the upper right-hand corner here as we look back toward the situation that set up this yellow. Both cars hard into the wall long before they were into the corner, Bobby.
Well, they certainly did, and of course we didn't see it soon enough right there in that shot to be able to make a call on it, why it happened. But boy, I'll guarantee you they both hit the wall hard, and obviously from all the damage we could see that anyway. But there's Cogan behind. And you know, the new cars, you know, you can see
dodging everywhere.
Ricardo Guerrero in the foreground.
Yeah, look
Kevin
at
Cogan in the upper part of the screen.
Yeah, Cogan.
The caution flag is out at the moment, but we expect to go green anytime, and we'll do so with Mario Andretti leading his son to the line as the green comes out. Now, we've already had a series of incidents in this race. On the very first lap, we had a spin from Gary Bettenhausen, and look at the battle for the lead. There's Mario and Michael fight it out, and Mario gives way to his son. Michael has the lead of the race. Bettenhausen spun. That sent Buddy Lazier into the wall. Lazier is out of the race. Bettenhausen replaced tires and is back in the action.
There are 4 Andrettis in the top 10 right now. John runs 6, Jeff runs 10.
You can see him start working a little out, so his car is definitely game.
And whatever they did has obviously helped Rick as he comes up inside a little Al.
I think Rick is...
Look at how he came off that corner, though, Bobby. Seemed to push coming off the corner. Let's keep an eye on Rick Mears.
He's definitely pushing, Paul. There's no question about it. That means the adjustment that he made to us too much, because there comes Rahal by him now.
Rahal gets him on the inside. So Rahal saw whatever it was with Rick. Now Rick's going to come right back at Rahal.
No, he isn't. Look at the desperate trouble he's in, Paul. When he goes down that low, look at him down. He will be almost on the grass when we get around to turn 1. That's turn 4 there. That means he's got a real bad pushing condition. That's the line you see him take when the front end just will not bite as you go through the turn. He's in a lot of trouble. He's going to lose a lot of ground in the next few laps. Look at him down onto the, almost onto the grass.
Threading through traffic now. There is Rahal fighting with Little Al, and Rahal brings it down low, trying to take advantage of that car that may in fact block his teammate, and that is Jeff Andretti just ahead of him.
Boy, that's racing in the short chute, Paul. That's kind of rare, especially for 2 cars that are running as fast as these 2 are. But what happened was Rahal was able to draft a little bit, get a run of Little Al. Little Al got caught up in traffic. Now, that's the easiest way that there is to pass here at the speedway, in the way that the guys always look for the most.
In the meantime, Jim Crawford's car has been retired as a crew member puts a helmet away. Jim Crawford's day is done, driving here for Kenny Bernstein.
There's a lap under the green, and that's the only way that they can check their fuel mileage. After this stop, they'll be able to run a little bit longer.
Let's go to Jack.
Well, Rick Mears, now in order to make this stop, they're trying to correct a tough condition, a handling condition where the car was pushing. They said they were going to add a little bit of wind. They drop all 4 tires and he is off and away. But remember, gentlemen, they went through 43 sets of tires to come up with 10 good sets for this race.
Also, if you're looking and saying, wow, they look like they're way down the track, much closer to the pit exit than in past years, you're absolutely right. Remember, with accidents like Dominic Dobson's and Mark Dismore's, they have moved several of the pits, in fact 3 of them, down south of the gasoline alley entrance and closer to the exit of the pits to kind of clear up the north end of the track. 5 car of Emerson Fittipaldi. That's Jeff Andretti just ahead of Bobby Rahal.
Jeff Andretti, Paul, has really been looking good for a new driver, for a guy that hasn't got an awful lot of experience. He's been doing a tremendous job.
Rahal fighting with Gary Bettenhausen, trying to catch both Gary and Jeff Andretti, and lined up just behind them the Penske organization in the person of Emerson Fittipaldi, right behind him, and then Rick.
Emerson Fittipaldi arrived this morning on a motor scooter from an Indianapolis suburb where he rents a house.
Boy, look at this. There's Bettenhausen leading Rahal. Rahal slides to the inside. Rahal tries to get Bettenhausen, can't get it. Jeff Andretti stays in the fight. Nobody's given up on this one.
Watch this battle now, because Bettenhausen, of course, has the Buick engine, which is supposed to be so powerful, and Rahal has the Chevrolet. Bettenhausen wants to race him. He can turn the boost up and be very fast on the straightaway, keep Rahal at bay, but he can't run the whole race that way and run out of fuel.
On board with Michael Andretti, the leader of the race, but he comes over to the left into the pit area and makes yet another pit stop, this on lap 78. And Gary Gerould waits for him.
Indeed we do, Paul. We're wedged in between tires, fuel tanks. I've never seen it as crowded in the pits, but now we see the nose of the car. Fueling hose is engaged. He reported on the radio that everything was good. We see a tremendous amount of heat being generated from the brakes and the right rear. Smoke coming there, no major problem. Still up on the jacks. Mario came in. He wanted more stagger because he had a push. Now he's down and away. We've got it right around 16 seconds on the Michael Andretti stop. He was happy with the way the car was working prior to this stop, Paul.
Right on the money. Good work for the team. The timing is right, Gary Gerould, but not these teams will do some incredible. Terrell Palmroth has a fire in the engine compartment. He's not in danger, but he wanted to get it stopped as quick as he could. Now they're trying to get his helmet, which is snapped on a little tether to the side of the car to help keep his head upright.
He's one of the biggest drivers, too, in the race. It's hard to get him in and out of a cockpit.
And we go yellow with this situation as Terrell is out and free of the race car.
When you're in that and you're stuck in it and you don't, in the panic of the moment, you don't know why you can't get out, you can just be terrified.
Now Michael Andretti leads them down. Emerson Fittipaldi is in second place. In third place is Unser Jr. In fourth place, coming back to the line, Bobby Rahal. And then Mario Andretti.
Now by now, Paul, most of the guys have adjusted their cars. Once, twice, sometimes 3 times, some of them. They should be having their handling down a bit pat. Now we'll see if they change the groove where they run the track just a little bit or not. That will tell us how slippery the racetrack is. Throwing his front wings,
Gary Bettenhausen slows down, Bobby. Gary Bettenhausen, the story at the start, one of the Buicks, the fastest man in the field. Let's listen to that engine. If it's there at all.
Well, that's sad, Paul. I think we've all kind of root for the underdog in a lot of ways, and of course that's another Buick engine going out of the race, and we don't know that it's the Buick engine fault right now, but we don't see any other problems with the car. We just assume that may be it.
Well, that engine is very much like the Formula One, and it's known that Roger Penske is working on his Formula One engine now. As Michael comes to the pits, here's Gary Gerould.
Drew anxiously waves, now goes to a bent knee, and they wait the nose of the car. Remember, they made a wing adjustment the last time, but it was a puncture in a rear tire that caused the car to go loose. Michael now wants them to make the adjustment back to the original setup. They've reported no problems with fuel mileage. There was early concern, but the yellow flag certainly helped that situation. Ready to come off the jacks, and boy, does he line it up once again. As usual, he is strong out of the pits.
Routine pit stop, and they asked him, do you want any changes in the car? He said, no, car okay, is all he said on the radio. Very pleased with the way the car is handling. They've had no tire problems. He's off the jacks and away.
In and out in just over 16 seconds. The stops will take a little longer the further you go into the race because there is less fuel in the pit side tank, and it takes a little longer to run out. Mario Andretti was charged with 1 lap for driving below the yellow line between 3 and 4.
Well, that's a...
Back in Indianapolis, 118 laps complete by the leader, Emerson Fittipaldi. He's turning laps up in the 213 mile an hour range. The average speed of the race, 172.7 miles an hour. Now there's the leaderboard. Michael Andretti is chasing him. Michael's about 5 seconds back behind Fittipaldi. Then Rahal, Rick Mears, and Unser Jr. Now they have shown a black flag to Mario Andretti, because apparently he's continued to pass under the line, and they're afraid that he doesn't understand what they're going to penalize him for. Let's take a look, too, at the race summary, as we're at this point in the race. The leader, of course, is Fittipaldi. There's Michael, though, who has led much of this race, and this is the summary of 100 laps. The average speed then, 168.127, and at that point, we had 4 caution lights. Now, let's kind of review that. Back at the...
We saw him come in on the pit stop. We were in the commercial break. He was violently shaking his head. Tony Sicali and the crew over the wall are on the radio to him. They were black flag, we are told, to bring him in because of that penalty, as you mentioned, passing down under the yellow line. We only learned from one radio comment. Mario simply said, I cannot believe that. But the manner in which he was shaking his head, as much emotion as we've seen from Mario in the cockpit on a race car in years.
Well, Paul, I find it very hard to understand how, if what we hear is true, that Mario got penalized in the lap for running under or running too low on the track right there. If we see that car going, and all the other cars, in other words, every car we've seen on the track is running under the white or the post the yellow line. It'd be equal for all, I would think.
The actual word was, though, passing under that line. Maybe that's where the distinction lies, Bobby.
Paul, they're all doing that. We've watched many passes where the guy goes under the white line like that right there. Giveaway is right there, and then as he goes across the short chute, we watch the passing going on. I think it's a difference on how officials are reading it, or maybe they're not seeing it all.
Rogers Hospital of Indianapolis, and now here is the report. He has a fracture of his right arm. Rahal with smoke at the back of the car, and he pulls her down. Be careful to watch behind that car, but that certainly looks, and it's coming out of the exhaust on both sides, looks like Rahal's done. As we wait for Rahal, let me continue with the condition of Kevin Cogan. He has a fractured right arm, a fractured right forearm, and a fractured right thigh. Dr. Terry Trammell will operate on him this afternoon. Let's go way up on the field. And there's a quick stop for Michael Andretti being run under the green flag. Michael runs in second place. That would seemingly predict, with a 16.5-second stop, that Emerson Fittipaldi is due in any time. You ride with Rick Mears. Mears runs in third place. So we run them down quickly for you. Fittipaldi and Michael Andretti before the stop. Rick Mears, Unser Jr. Then a lap behind Arie Luyendyk, Scott Brayton, John Andretti, Mario Andretti. Danny Sullivan is now in ninth place with Alpha Power. Scott Pruett. And then the 86 car of Jeff Andretti. Then Bernard Jourdain. Then Stan Fox, Gordon Johncock, Tony Bettenhausen, and Hiro Mashusta. Dominic Dobson, Randy Lewis, Pancho Carter, and Jeff Brabham. That's the lineup at the moment, and here comes the leader, Emerson Fittipaldi. Here's Jerry Punch.
Again, a scheduled pit stop for Emerson Fittipaldi. Rick Ronham and the crew have just asked him again, do you want anything changed on the car? He said, no, it is perfect. Obviously, the laps he's turning over 218 miles an hour. Now trouble with the left front. They have a problem with the left front wrench. The car off the jack. That cost him about 4 extra seconds, but he is down and away.
Still pretty quick at 19.5 seconds for Emerson Fittipaldi. Time on pit road. Maybe next year. Here's Rick Mears to stop. Fittipaldi comes around his teammate, and Fittipaldi picks the lead back up as Rick Mears patiently waits. Roger Penske on the radio to Rick throughout the entire stop. In fact, Roger and Rick talk rather constantly. 12.7 miles an hour. Danny Sullivan, 1985 winner in the pits. Remember his teammate Roberto Guerrero fell out. We've got another car in trouble. And this is Scott Brayton with an engine. Looks like it's in trouble, Bobby.
Yes, a lot of smoke coming out of there. What's a bad look? Going to bring out a yellow. He parked right on the racetrack.
Now he wants out of the car. He's feeling some heat from under there. So.
He hasn't disconnected his communications either. He ripped them apart.
The engine blew bad. The hot water, that's a lot of steam, not just smoke from the engine, but it's a lot of steam that's coming out.
So he's been sprayed with some very hot water, and he's feeling the effects. That's nothing to laugh about. That's got to hurt Scotty terribly. So the yellow flag comes out at Indianapolis, 148 laps. That means this yellow may, in fact, help some of the teams that have not stopped. It'll certainly help Danny Sullivan, who is still in his car, but they're working on the back of his Alfa Romeo. At the front of the field is still Emerson Fittipaldi. Sports coverage of the Indy 500 will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Mexico's Bernard Jourdain is under tow, while Scott Pruett's disabled car is on the hook. And we are under yellow at the Indianapolis 500.
Calculation, and I think we're going to have one more pit stop for sure. But it looks like they're going to have to go to about lap 162. Maybe they're going to, or excuse me, lap 167. But now because the yellow is probably the 170, so they'll be able to make it the rest of the way.
As they come back to green, Rick Mears comes way over to the inside, but Michael Andretti comes up to challenge the leader of the race, Emerson Fittipaldi. Fight right at the front of the field, and Michael takes him. Michael takes him going into one.
Remember that before the yellow, Michael closed in dramatically on Emerson. Then the yellow came out, reshuffling things. Now he's showing that speed again.
Now, one of the things that happened right there is remember, Emmo has no clutch. Michael does. Michael's been adjusting his car, so is Emmo, but Emmo's got a problem. So you have to start that race and shift the gear. Emmo is probably being a little careful because he has no clutch to help him shift. Plus one, under, plus. The track will be nice and clean.
Fittipaldi trimmed another 0.4 of a second off as Jeff Andretti has his engine problems and pulls to the side. He's the highest running rookie at this point. He's had a great month and is a sure candidate for Rookie of the Year honors when the media votes on those. Rather subjective vote that they have, not based on position at all. But of course, Fittipaldi and Mears will all have to stop. They are the only ones that run on the lead lap right now. They run together on the straightaway. Michael Andretti peels off and heads down to the pits, and Gary Gerald waits for him.
We do, Paul, and as you've indicated, we don't think he can go the distance without making another stop. I don't know that they're gambling on a yellow. We do know that his father, Mario, was having a fuel problem. We were not aware of a fuel problem for Michael, but right now, they change the rubber. They pour in the precious fuel. He'll have 33 laps plus to go to get there. And of course, the guy in the catbird seat would seem to be Mears because of the clutch problem for Fittipaldi. He's down and he's away, and it wasn't particularly bad. 19 seconds.
Yeah, 18.5 seconds, Gary Gerald.
Okay, one of the things they'll do, Paul, is to make double sure that they have that thing as full of fuel as they could possibly get. There's Emmo coming right there across the start-finish line, the red-white car.
That makes him the new leader of the race.
Yes, he is. And then, what's...
And rolls toward Jackaroo for what may be his final stop.
And Paul, this is when the butterflies become big, not only in the driver, but also on every crew member. They bring the car to a stop. He's complaining of severe understeer, so they are going to change all 4 tires. He's trying to keep the engine rev. They are going to take every ounce of fuel left here because they have figured it down to having a 2-lap margin to finish the race with the fuel available. They've completed the work on the tires. They're waiting to take on all the fuel. They drop it down, and you can hear him having the difficulty getting out.
20 seconds in and out.
There was that clunk.
Grabs the gear.
Did you hear that clunk that Bobby described?
And now, so slowly, he motors out. Bobby, you had it figured perfectly. Here's the leader of the race, Rick Mears, as Fittipaldi rolls away.
Now remember, Paul, this is the guy they better start worrying about a little bit.
As Rick Mears comes to a stop, Jackaroo is there.
Teammate Emerson Fittipaldi, he knows now that Fittipaldi had a problem. They had a problem now with the air jacks getting the car up. To no concern, though, they'd already taken the tires off. Jerry Breon is the first one completed, Richard Buck, and the rest of them are done. They're going to take on all the fuel on this side, too. Taking a long time to bring it in. Mears is off and away.
And Michael Andretti wins that fight as Rick Mears comes away, and Michael comes back to the front. Sandy Andretti knows that Michael is now within striking distance of the Indianapolis 500 victory flag. But what they also know is that he stopped the last time right on the edge of the envelope. Some say beyond it. Brayton watches his driver, Ari Lyondike, the defending champion. He runs in 4th place.
Now keep in mind, Paul, if Emmo and if Rick Mears keep pushing Michael as hard.
Look at Fittipaldi, still not running at speed. Fittipaldi still terribly slow. Roger Penske is on the radio to Rick. Chuck Sprague stays on the radio to Emerson Fittipaldi. Jackaroo. This race traditionally changes in the last 10 laps. We're approaching that area now. The green flag is back out. And Rick Mears comes around John Andretti. He's no factor whatsoever, but Michael is right there with him. Michael moving to the outside. Can he keep in the high groove? He did it at Phoenix. Can he do it here? Michael Andretti takes the lead away from Rick Mears.
That's one of the toughest passes I've ever seen. A short shoot pass with 2 cars running nearly the same speed. I'll just bet you that Rick Mears thought that would have been impossible, and I just can tell you, he never, ever looked for Michael to go that way.
That is sheer virtuosity by Michael Andretti, Bobby. Don't you agree? That was an incredible
one of the finest pieces of driving, one of the hardest pieces of driving I've seen. And Sam, it's very difficult to pass somebody on the outside like that, and especially a car that's just as fast.
And from Bobby Under's point of view, a position on the track that he was not expected. But here is Rick Mears now in the same position as Mears, who has been driving a very clear line this way. Takes Michael Andretti. 108 87 laps into the record book. The fight is at the front.
Our hats off to him now. If you ever see racing better than that, I'd certainly like to know where it's going to be.
That's Rick's wife, Chris Mears. As Rick is back out in front, what I was going to remind you of, in the last 10 laps, the lead tends to change here. In 89, Fittipaldi taking the race away from Al Unser. In 86, Bobby Rahal taking it away from Kevin Cogan. The two wives pray their husbands around. In 83, Tom Sneva took the race away from Al Unser. Bobby Unser won here in 1975, taking the race away in the last 10 laps. They called the rain from Johnny Rutherford. At the front of the field is Rick Mears, but the yellow flag comes out. There is a car sitting on the entrance to the pit lane. And apparently they've decided to bring the yellow out, and it's none other than Mario Andretti.
What an irony. The yellow flag would prevent his son from having any chance to counterattack against Rick Mears.
But then it might give him a chance, because it will put Michael up next to Rick.
Good point for a restart. And what happened on the last restart? Michael was able to rip by Rick.
So the fates of this race changes again as the yellow is out, and it will be a definite sprint to the finish with 9 laps to go. But he's lost two of the closest in history to John Cock by 16/100ths of a second in 82, and by 2 seconds to Rahal in 86.
The point is, he is no stranger to close finishes. Michael Andretti has never been involved with a battle for the lead in the Indy 500 when it counted. It counts now.
6 laps to go.
Rick really got a run at it that time at the restart, Paul. He wasn't going to let Michael sneak up on him. He didn't have any traffic to worry about, nor did Michael.
Look at that. There are so few cars left in the race. Rick has a completely clean racetrack ahead of him and will for probably 3 to 4 laps.
I think what happened during that passing that they did back and forth, that you'll find that they found a new groove on that racetrack. Rick's speeds have picked up like over 220 miles an hour.
We started with 33 cars in a desperate drive to try and catch him.
On a day that sees what may be the retirement from competition by the great 4-time winner, A.J. Foyt, we may see another 4-time winner crowned in Rick Mears.
And the white flag has been thrown to Rick Mears, indicating 1 lap to go. Now less than 2 miles for Rick Mears. If he holds on, he will become the 3rd 4-time winner of the Indianapolis 500 here on the 75th running of the great race. Chris Mears as Rick runs the straightaway. One corner left to go. 1 corner left to run. You can see the checkered flag just ahead of him now. A 4-time winner of the 500 as he waves to Michael Andretti, who's alongside of the crowd. The race has been run for the 75th time, and Rick Mears picks it up. 3rd place is this car, Arie Luyendyk.